Welcome to the Fine Print, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Caleb Teskey, and I say this every time, but we got another great interview for you tonight. And before we get into that, I just want to thank everybody who tuned into the last few interviews. Mark Schwartz from the Evidence Room. Mark has a pre-roll company, was a former St. Albans police officer, and boy, I really I wasn't sure how that interview was going to go. But I thought it was a great discussion, and I want to thank Mark for joining me and for sharing his thoughts on the industry with us. The last few have been great here. We had Phil Lacoste from Zen Valley Cannabis. We had Damian DeForge from Legacy Vermont Cannabis, and I'm super excited to get back to some Vermont interviews. I know I strayed away for a while, but I thought it was time to come back home and just really start hitting it. And tonight we got another one. And I want to thank all you guys for your support. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Fine Print. You guys, look, my IG's right there. If you guys need to know how to get in touch with me, we can work that out, man. But tonight we've got another fantastic interview with a Vermont cultivator here. I met this gentleman last year at the Pipe Classic at the Burn Gallery from another one of my guests, Tito Byrne, who will be joining us on hang on a second. I think it's the 10th. Tito Byrne, August 10th at 7 or 4 p.m. Tito needed a little extra time, so I got him in at 4 p.m. But that's where I met this guy. Was at the Pipe Classic last year. It's Sterling Cannabis. I'm going to bring him out right now. Fuck it. Let's go. Bang. It's Jason Sterling, owner of Sterling Cannabis. Wham, bam. Jason, thank you for being here with me tonight, man.
Thanks for having me, Caleb. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing well, man. Before we get into anything, would you mind sharing with us a 5-minute life story?
Sure. My name is Jason Sterling. I'm 49 years old. I was born May 7th, 1974. I cultivate here in Vermont. I've been cultivating most of my life. I've never done this before, so this is new. But
what? You never done an interview before?
No, never.
All right.
Well, I've done interrogations.
Well, this is a little lighter.
Yeah. So, I'm a social equity applicant. So, I have 3 children, a grandson. I'm married at the moment. I've been married a couple times. Lost my previous wife to cancer.
Sorry to hear that, Jason.
Yep. So still gets me.
Yeah. And you were supposed to say that till later. You jumped the gun on me.
But yep. So sorry, brother.
Don't apologize for that, you fucker.
So
would you care to tell us any more about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a horrible thing to lose somebody, and that really motivated me to kind of pick up the pace of what I was doing, and just I went to federal prison for marijuana charges. That was another motivator, was the social equity side of this. So, it got me interested.
And we got our first comment. I want to just slip this in here before it's Lou Rinaldi. Big respect for the Bad Brain shirt.
Thank you. I grew up outside of Washington, D.C. in Northern Virginia. I was born in Vermont, in Burlington, but grew up in Northern Virginia outside of Washington. Spent a lot of time listening to good Washington, D.C. punk rock music. Always real big in the music scene, and marijuana always went hand in hand with that. So that's, was found cannabis early. So
now, Now, Jason, when we first met, I met you at the Pipe Classic last year at the Burn Gallery. Have you been to the Pipe Classic before? And please don't mind, I didn't tell you this before. I normally tell all my guests, but I'm going to cut the camera in and out and I'm going to solo on your screen when I ask you a question. I'm still here listening. Please don't mind that. But have you been to the Pipe Classic before? Do you know Tito? How did you end up there?
I knew Tito and Jeff White and all the, Sean and all the people from down there, all wonderful people. I had never experienced a Pipe Classic before. I knew of them. I never did much for events, so this was my first one, and it was a wonderful event. I really hope he does more in the future. I know he's got a lot on his plate right now, but
that's the first time. That's the first one you went to.
Yeah, absolutely.
No shit.
And, I met a lot of good people. Had a great time at that event for sure. So.
Yeah, I thought you were a seasoned veteran, and you seemed like you fit in super well there. I figured you had just been to the last 14 of them or whatever.
I think I just smoked enough weed in my lifetime that
I fit in. Fair. And yeah, I'm super psyched to have Tito back on here next week. Let me ask you, though, you mentioned something. First of all, I'd like to ask you, what kind of license did you get here in the regulated cannabis market in Vermont?
So I have a mixed license of a Tier 5 outdoor. It's a Tier 3 indoor, I believe. It's 1,000 square foot of indoor that I can do, and 2,500 outdoor plants. Which I was doing that, if not more than that, when I was black market anyways. So
yeah,
not much of a jump.
And Jason, I've interviewed a lot of people, and I've interviewed a lot of people that don't have a ton of experience in the industry, and I've interviewed a lot of people with that legacy kind of black market experience. And that's one thing I'd really like to dig into with you, is sort of how you got into the cannabis game, how, when, and why maybe you stayed in for this long.
It's always, I just always love weed. I had the best time smoking with my friends. We would always, when we weren't in school or cutting school, we were, smoking pot and maybe drinking a little bit and having a good time. But weed was usually a part of, my experience growing up, and it was definitely fun. And just the whole lifestyle behind it, like, I don't know, always had a good time, and until prison, but
so until prison, what happened? Let me ask you this: how old were you when you first started sort of dabbling in the cannabis industry, black market, and how did you end up in prison, if you don't mind me asking?
Shoot, I think I got into weed about 1987. I had neighbors that were bikers, and I always had, the good Mexican brick pot that we all enjoyed when we were young.
Yep.
So, and then, smoking out a homemade pipe out of a Budweiser can or Coke can or something,
Please carry on. Don't let me interrupt you. I'm just laughing about my own childhood here. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all kind of experienced the same thing, and then just excelled from there. You start making a couple bucks here and there, and then next thing you know, it's paying your bills. And how can you stop something that you love that pays your bills?
Hey, yeah. And it sounded like, forgive me for mentioning this, but it sounded like maybe your first weed connect was some bikers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've, grown up around a lot of bikers, so it's, in my comfort zones. Usually I like a gruffer crowd, So
Yo, and
I
you
always
know,
grew up punk rock, and people say what they mean and mean what they say, and it's I don't know. I formed really good relationships out of that scene, and
the only reason I ask about that is because you know my dad was arrested with Billy Greer in this big bus in 1991, and I
yeah,
think you know about that, and
yeah,
you know.
I know Billy. Billy's a great guy.
Yeah, and I got
You
to
know,
meet Billy last year on 420 at a party, and I know that my dad had those same biker connections, and they were very important to him, and it was a very meaningful part of his life as well. And I was curious if you had any thoughts on the biker scene, man.
um, they've I think they've pretty much always been connected with cannabis. Through my growing up. The Canadian marijuana that we were selling when we were kids, and that was coming across the border. I think was definitely biker related. Um, you know, and I think they are still on top of their game today. I mean, they're you know they're top of the industry. They
Yo,
pretty much
yo,
set the standard for like a commercial head style weed that wasn't seedy, bricked, brown. Smell
and
like
that was it.
soap.
That was the original shit. Like, because so I want to walk you through maybe the stages of when I grew up. Was like in high school when we was 13, 14. So I'm talking 97, 98. We were getting that brick weed. That was the first stuff we were able to get. Was that Mersh? They called it Mersh. I don't know if anyone still calls it that, but we called it Mersh. It was full of seeds and sticks, but it was super cheap, and we got it. And then after that, it was like, boy, it was like that Canadian, those beasters. Um, did you have any dealing with the beasters?
Yeah, that's actually that's the cannabis that put me in prison. Um, I was selling to UVM students back then, and in the '90s, and you know, when other people get caught, they can't always um, take their time. So yeah, I was told on, and people were wired. That's was selling the beasters is what put me
No
away.
shit. So you did federal prison time based on a wire that was worn by some UVM students?
Former UVM. That's when we made our
Well,
connects,
yeah, not
and
not
they
now.
they
This was a while.
they had gone back home. Yeah, no, the guy had moved back home. He's from Boston, and he was coming up from Boston and getting pot, and he wore a wire on me for the DEA, and that was that. So I guess he got busted for cocaine or something like that, and let's turn in the weed guy, get ourselves out of trouble.
No shit. So how did that play out, Jason? Like from the time this guy drop a dime to the DEA to the time they show up to confront you, what happened in that time, and how did the arrest play out?
He set me up with an undercover who did like controlled buys off me, and then they got me after a few controlled buys
Hmm.
that they had set up a sting and grabbed me, and they brought me into the state trooper barracks. I believe it was in St. Albans, and they were rushing around doing stuff, and I was like, all right, I'm fucked. And then they're like, we got to hurry up, and I'm like, hurry up. They were like, yeah, we got to get you out there working. You're gonna work for us. And I was like, the fuck I am. Um, you can lock me up right now. Um,
So they
so
tried to
they
they
just
tried to flip you into an
well,
informant
no,
as well.
they said it was rare for somebody not to cooperate with them. Uh, which I mean, I guess I believe that now. Experienced all the things I've experienced, but I, I did zero cooperation, and you know, did my time. I didn't want any of their programs either, so I did my full time and left without having to jump through any hoops afterwards, except for a regular probation. Um,
And so, how much time did you do, Jason?
for the weed and feds, I did on paper it was about 18 months. So down in Pennsylvania.
And they offered you maybe a better deal if you would have cooperated with them.
I guess I didn't really get that far. I wasn't interested. So I didn't even, I usually don't, I'm pretty ACAB. So,
Mm.
um, you know,
And would you mind telling us about sort of maybe your time in prison and how that's affected your life up to this point?
well, I mean, it definitely not somewhere I wanted to be. So, and when I was released, I was just a carpenter and a bouncer for about 12 years. And I wasn't doing much then, just smoking myself, and my wife that had cancer was smoking. And, um, that I was just working, raising kids. So I really didn't have time to, be in the industry like that. And then, my kids are growing up now. So I was able to kind of, get step back up and do what I love to do. And, I started growing, growing pot again. And, it's just, it's what I love. It's where I like to be.
And you said, I feel like on the phone, you said something like, um, prison changed me, or maybe like I changed from being in prison. I don't remember exactly what you said, but I remember you mentioned it, and I was super curious to hear your thoughts on that sentiment.
I matured. I've been to jail before when I was a kid for dumb, just dumb antics and, misdemeanor stuff, and, um, stuff that didn't even amount to anything except tickets, but sometimes you're just a stupid teenager, drinking and causing troubles,
I,
so,
I plead the fifth.
but, those, I didn't learn anything back then from any of those times. And then, just going to a federal prison where there was, people that were just doing their time, doing their bid, and just didn't want, a lot of these people don't want to play around. They don't want, it's just serious. Just do your time, keep to yourself, and go home. So it just causes you to mature a little bit, and, if not, you're gonna have problems. So it's like I don't like to have problems.
Yeah.
So I just want to. I don't want anyone to know my name. I just want to go home. Like so.
I want to sneak in a question here, if that's okay. Um,
Yeah.
this is from Lisa Carson. She says, unsure if I can ask this. Any chance were the Hells Angels in Vermont or associated with you?
Not with me. I have
I
no
can tell you,
association.
I want to say, Lisa, they were in Vermont. I can tell you that. I don't, I'm not going to claim any associations because I don't know any of that, but I can tell you for 100% that there were definitely Hells Angels in Vermont.
Yeah, I can't. I can't. Yeah,
I'll take that one, Jason.
no, I don't have anything to say. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's
I
okay.
don't. That's not
I
fun.
know my dad rode with a lot of those guys, and a lot of them were good guys, man. A lot of the bikers that I met in my lifetime were really good guys, and some of them are not. But I think you'll have that in any particular group of people.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like most of my friends are motorcycle enthusiasts. So when I say bikers,
Mm-hmm.
they're not affiliated with anybody.
Yeah.
That I hang out with. So.
And you mentioned earlier that your ex-wife died of cancer, and I was wondering if maybe that had anything to do with sort of your love of cannabis, or maybe why you got into this. Because I know a lot of people that have had family members with severe health conditions, and that sort of pushed them in this direction.
Well, I mean, um, it enabled her to eat and stuff. So that was, something. And she didn't like to smoke alone. So I definitely we'd smoke together, and that was kind of a ritual thing that we would do. But
I'm sorry.
and it definitely pushed me to want quality cannabis. Not you know anything
Yeah,
bad. Not unknown grower. It's. I know I've dealt with that in the black market. I don't know where every bit of pot came from that I sold, but I I know about where it came from.
mm,
So
mm.
you know,
Yeah, and when my grandma died, I got to feed her some edibles right before she died, and it was a really powerful moment for me and my family. She got to eat some food and get up out of her chair before she passed, and she was laid up with fentanyl patches and morphine and all that kind of thing. And it was really hard to watch, just on a personal note. And to be able to give her some relief like that, I thought was really an amazing moment for me personally, and for her, and for my entire family, man.
Yeah, it's, cannabis is definitely better, than the pill thing. The pills suck. It's like you just watch a zombie. It's that was the hard part too. Was definitely the opiates. But sometimes they're necessary for terminal. So
sure.
Hard line.
Yeah, and I know the pain. Like, hey, that shit works for managing pain. But also other things. I remember my grandpa. He was super pissed when I suggested we give grandma some edibles. Well, we're not doing it. I'm like, well, you're giving her, fentanyl and morphine, and you're worried about a plant. So that was a little weird to me.
But that's from a doctor,
Yeah.
A guy in a white coat, Yeah,
that matters. Yeah. I want to dive in a little bit to your black market experience, because one of the hot topics here on the show has been sort of the legacy market, or maybe the people who have entered the market who have no experience in that, sort of in the hustlers world. And it sounds like you did a lot of hustling, and I'd love to hear about the hustler's perspective, I suppose, and the work that you did to get to the point where you're at.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, I was all 100% black market because there was no other market. And that's where I, met all my connections, and it's, I don't really know where to go with this.
Hey, that's okay, man. I was just curious because, like, this debate is sort of raging between the people.
That's how I got here. I paid. I don't have any partners in this, so
that's for later. That question's at the end, Jason.
It's like I don't. I did all this on my own, and most of it was legitimate. I have legitimate businesses that I work and definitely work hard at. And, I'm a tax-paying citizen like everybody else, and I want everything to be above board, especially the one thing that I truly love is cannabis. Was the only thing that I did black market. Everything else in my life was, legitimate business of, I service hot tubs and pools and fix broken hot tubs. And, I did that for years, and I was also a carpenter, and, I built houses and mostly decks around pools and decks for hot tubs and stuff like that. That's where I got most of my money, and I was able to sell that business to move into this larger dream of, this tier 5 farm that we have going, and just see it come true. When I was sitting in prison, I would have never thought legal cannabis was going to happen, and it was definitely a pipe dream to think like, it'd be great to one day stand in a field of weed, that like it's mine, and it's like nobody's gonna come get me, like, I don't know, it's different.
Definitely. I mean, to me, that was the one thing, and I'm not a grower. I want to put this out there again for anyone who hasn't fucking listened to anything I've said. I'm not a grower. I'm a custody. But for me, that was the one thing I really wanted out of legalization, was just for the cops to leave me alone.
Yeah, that's why black market was most, back in the day. Just being here, I still feel funny talking to you.
And a lot of people have said that. They're like, oh, we're just finally sort of coming out of the closet, as it were, is in terms of the weed industry, into the light, out of the darkness into the light. And a lot of people have said that. They're like, 10 years ago, I would have never said a fucking word to you.
Yeah, we wouldn't have known each other. I wouldn't have got pipe plastic. I wouldn't have done anything. It's how I made my living. I didn't want anyone to any light to shine on what I was doing. I just want to pay my bills, so.
Mm.
So yeah, that's, it was all about the hustle, coming up and just being able to make a living off it.
Mm.
Definitely seeing the ups and downs, and legalization, I think, is, I don't know, it's going to be pretty cool. I look forward to it. I just want to be able to do this without fear and see where it goes, and and I
Yeah.
don't
So
know.
so when you decided to sorry, look, my hair is so fucked up with these. When you decided, hey, I'm gonna go enter the legal market, where did you begin in that process?
I have a close friend, and she helped me. We were just talking, and she goes, you would qualify for social equity, and I didn't know anything about it, so she told me about it, and then she helped me, start the paperwork process once I was interested in what I was going to do, and it started from there, and then the process took me about a year, to go through it by myself, and with help from friends and family, um, and one of my friends helped me do most of the permit paperwork, which I don't think I could have gotten through without him. Um, so
So you didn't hire a lawyer or anything. You just had some friends help you with this.
yeah, I mean, I didn't know I needed a lawyer. I probably would have if I would have thought of it, but
Well, you have a license and you didn't hire a lawyer, so I'd say you don't need one.
yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
they would be helpful, but to say that you need one when you've acquired a license without one, I think is not true.
yeah. I mean, I guess I'm on the thought of I only need a lawyer when I'm in trouble. So,
Fair,
so,
fair.
but,
So, tell us about the location that you're at, Jason, because I've been out to visit a few times and it's a beautiful spot. How did you find the location?
um, through friends, we found a beautiful farm that was willing to work with us, and so at least a pretty good sized secluded field that wouldn't interrupt with the daily farming, and we also took over a barn that was on its way out, and we started restoring it back to what it used to be. So,
Yeah, and you've done a ton of fucking work on that barn, man. I've seen it for the last, I don't know. I feel like the first time I came out was January, maybe. So it was cold and there was
yeah,
still a lot of work to be done. And in that time, in the months since then, it looks like you guys have put in a ton of fucking work out there.
yeah. Well, I mean, your first time there, we couldn't even see anything because we had 2,000 full-term exotics hanging and drying. So we were still processing full time there. So that was, a lot.
I got a question here for you, if you like. Here we go. Connor K. Curious as to his passion. Why cultivation? What size grow? I assume both indoor and outdoor. And yes, Connor, that's a mixed license. Um, what medium? And how does he stay current with consumer trends and tastes? And I'll leave that up on the screen for you.
Well, I mean, trends and tastes. I tend to lean towards a lot of California genetics. I think their seed stock's pretty outstanding. Um, you know, um, so that's where I get a lot of my genetic strain, seed stock. Um,
Why cultivation, Jason?
I love growing. I love growing pot. It just I love doing it. I love being in the field. I love working with plants. Um, yeah, I love outdoor. I like indoor, but I really truly love growing outdoors. Is
Yeah, I was gonna say it seems like outdoor is kind of your thing, huh?
Yeah, and a lot of people don't. We don't. We don't plan on, we don't use the flower for, smoke resale. We do a fresh frozen for concentrate. Is our plan. So
And there's one more here from the same guy. It says, where does he think the future of cultivation will land? That's a broad question, Connor. I wish you'd dial that in a little.
I don't know. Vermont's a small state, but we're our own bubble. We've always created our own thing here, So, and I think Vermont could compete with the rest of the nation with superior cultivation here. We have really good soil here in our state. Everybody wants a Vermont product. Everybody wishes they could be a Vermont product. So that's what I'm hoping for with the cannabis industry as well. I really hope, in the future the farm that we have, we do, there's maple syrup, and would love to do I'm looking forward to federal legalization. So that's why I went for the large tier, was so I could keep up with a national product of selling an infused maple syrup, maple candy, stuff like that, doing the edible game, So I definitely want to, apply next for my manufacturing license, and just so we can make edibles and stuff like that.
We got a couple comments here. I'm talking to Jason Sterling from Sterling Cannabis here. Let's see what else we got here. We got this guy who kind of annoys me sometimes, but I'm gonna flash the comment up there. Why fresh frozen? Do you do any full-term outdoor with a cure?
Yeah, I have in the past, but there's not really a large market for outdoor anymore. The outdoor market for smoke is, not as good as it used to be, and it's only good until it oxidizes. As soon as it oxidizes, and you start getting that outdoor smell to it, a lot of people don't want anything to do with it. So I think the fresh frozen is just, we're going to keep natural terpenes in. We're going to get some really nice hash rosin out of it. We can make a really broad number of things. A lot of products out of hash rosin. Fresh frozen hash rosin is, I think, going to be, the future of edibles and everything.
Yeah, and it does seem like there is, at least from my opinion, and I try to leave my opinion out of the interviews, but it does look like there is a hole in the market in terms of vape cartridges, and I know we've just seen the vape tax go away and the THC caps, which were ridiculous. That's been lifted on the liquid concentrates. But it does seem like that is maybe there's a lot of flower out here now after this first year, and especially with the licenses that have been issued recently by the CCB, there's a lot of flower coming in, but it does seem like there is still that gap in the concentrate market. And I'm curious if you got any thoughts on that idea.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of my black market experience was with edibles that I produced and stuff, and so I had a really good market with that, and edibles seem to be a lot more accepted in the market, whereas if I pull out a joint and start smoking it, I'm going to turn a lot of people off. They're going to smell it, they're going to be disgusted, they're going to walk away. I pull out a bag of candy, I got people coming over that would never talk to me about pot, being like, "Oh, that's really interesting. That looks really cool. What's that about? It's just, it seems to pique more interest, and it just seems to be a less demonized version of cannabis.
Oh, that's an interesting thought there that no one has thrown out yet. But, I tend to agree with that. I mean, I love the edibles, mostly because I'm trying to stop smoking so much because it's killing my lungs. But when you phrase it that way, Boy, that really that paints it in a new light, man. Huh.
Yeah.
Making me think about stuff. How dare you? Um, so let me ask you this. You said you got the cultivation license. You're thinking about the manufacturing. What about a retail operation? Is that something that you're considering?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to. Just kind of unsure of, what town I would want to be in, or, there's a lot of competition out there.
In
Um,
Burlington, especially
and
where you live, what there's 10, 11 now, maybe
I
12
don't,
if you
I don't
count the
want
one.
to, yeah, I don't want to compete with any of my friends. I don't want to do any of that. I don't want to, you know, I want to kind of do my own thing in my own place. That's going to take a little while for me to figure out where to go with that, that retail side of things,
Mm.
you know. But until then, I think um, a large tier grow is going to keep me pretty busy, as well as the manufacturing license that I really want to get into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So with that, I also I don't want to pay for packaging, so I'm also hoping to start a print shop and be able to manufacture my own packaging,
Oh,
in some
you want to
capacity.
you want to manufacture your own packaging.
Yes,
You want to make your own jars.
stuff, or be able to print on jars that I purchase,
Uh,
or something like that.
okay. Okay. I've seen people doing that. I thought maybe you were telling me you're gonna start making jars. Like you could be a hero in Vermont right now.
No, I don't want to blow glass or anything like that.
Imagine that hand blown glass jars for your flour in Vermont.
It costs as much as the flour.
That would be some shit right there. We should talk to Hickory. Shout out
Yeah,
to Hickory. I got my Hickory stick right here.
I
Or
got
Kelly.
quite a few hickories behind me.
Yeah, no, we're gonna save that to the
Whichever
end
way
too.
I go.
Don't jump the gun. At the end of this, I'm gonna have you go grab a couple out there, and I know you got some. I've seen in that cabinet.
Yeah, today I'm smoking out of my I don't know, it's
What
my
you got?
hollow.
Yeah, there
It's
you
a
go.
hollow split pillar soft with an ash catcher with my custom salt.
Oh, that's
Slide.
you got a salt. You got a salt slide.
Yeah,
Wow.
with the gooseneck.
I saw salt as well at the Pipe Classic, and boy, that guy's out of control.
Yeah, he's sick. He can blow some glass for sure.
So let's talk about the application process, sort of to get your business going. You said you didn't hire any lawyers. Did you have any stumbling blocks on your way through the application process? Was there anything you liked, anything you didn't like?
Well, I'm still dealing with one thing. So the application is pretty intense. There's a lot of information that I had to provide, things that I hadn't even thought about. There's things that you need to set up before you can even use them, such as like banking accounts and escrow accounts and insurance and stuff like that, which none of it will actually cover you until you actually have a license and stuff like that. So you have to prepare a lot of things, and then just getting through, figuring out how to get through some of these processes, especially when you lease a building or the land and stuff like that. So I'm currently waiting on one more step in my license to finish out my before I actually get it into my hands.
What's
Um,
the step? Would you care to
um,
mention it?
I need a fire marshal to come through and do his inspection. So I'm just waiting on that, and that is it. I've been approved and everything. So
So the board has approved your license. You're just waiting on the fire marshal to come inspect your property.
yeah, correct. And I've been waiting. It's been over a month, so we're still waiting. So hopefully I'll get a phone call at some point. Um,
Yeah, I don't know how long that process normally takes, but
yeah,
I'd have to go
um,
back through all my
yeah,
interviews and average it out among everyone.
yeah. It's I'm not a priority. So,
Yeah. All right. Well, what about we talked about the genetics a little bit. I'm running down my list here. I want to talk about what about if for your indoor setup? Do you have any light companies you care to shout out, or anything like that for your or soil companies? I don't know what you're running in there, but
everything I tend to use is I think outdated now. Some of the stuff I'm starting fresh with a lot of things. Like I said, I was just did things my own way for a long time and didn't really pay attention to what anybody else was doing. So I always ran like a double XL hood hidden somewhere with some phantom ballast and you know uh, Lumitech bulbs, or which they don't make anymore, and so
they,
I gotta change my ways.
they don't make them anymore.
No, I guess they went out of business. So
Ah, shit.
um, yeah, I still have boxes of bulbs, so it's, I'm not gonna toss them. So
What about like the security? I know there's security requirements at every different venue, and I didn't ask. The only other tier 5 I interviewed was Dan Pomerantz. I didn't ask him about the security requirements. What are you required to have out there, man?
we have cameras with spotlights, motion sensors, night vision,
Hmm.
sirens.
Shit.
We have quite a few cameras.
Damn.
We have barbed wire fences. We have a couple gates. We have acreage that you have to cross. Um, we have we have marshlands. We have it's Vermont. We have a little bit of everything on that property, bro. Then you come out to when you get to our field, and it's you know uh, like I said, we're on a farm, and it's a working farm, so there's people living there. We have quite a few people living on the farm,
Hmm.
and so it's pretty active, and so it's that helps with security a lot,
Yeah.
and it's just really hard to get to where we're at. Pretty much impossible. And
I've been
I mean,
there several times, and I still forget how to get there.
somebody could huff and puff their way back there and maybe steal a plant from us on video, and but they're not getting away with much else. So I feel pretty confident in that. But security was a big thought. We don't want theft, and just deter. We just like to deter that. We have a lot of signage,
Did you
telling
ever
people to stay off the property.
did you ever deal with any of that when you were in the black market, man?
Yeah, oh yeah. I think I got robbed every year I grew. So, in some capacity, um, you know, it's or just had partners that were, uh, you know, not good partners. So,
Do you feel like those experiences have made you maybe more protective or more able to spot those sort of things before they happen now?
uh, they made me want to do it all by myself.
Yeah.
And just have a good crew. I have an awesome crew of guys that work around me, guys and gals.
Hmm.
And we, you know, I have a really, really solid core group of people that got my back when it comes to work. And so I think
How many employees you got, Jason?
none on the books at the moment. It, it's mostly promises, of future. We have a future in this. So,
How many people do you think you would need to run an operation of that scale?
well, I have 6 people helping me at the moment that, they just, it's not full time, but they come and help me when they can, knowing that I have, once I can afford full time, I'll have at least those 6. And I was hoping maybe maybe 8 to 10 employees, when we're up and running full time, doing manufacturing. That's including the manufacturing that we're hoping to do in the future.
Mm.
You
I
know,
want to slap this comment up. This is from Andy Mine. I think this is maybe referring to the amount of dispensaries in Vermont, but I'm not sure. It says in our area we got 3 going on, 4 in Morrisville, 3 between Stowe and Waterbury that I know of. So if he says he's got 3 going on, he's like, oh boy, I don't even know who has 3. How do you feel? Like you're over in the Burlington area where there's 9, 10. Do you feel like it might get oversaturated over there at all?
no, I think there's enough people buying product that, I think good quality product is always going to be, there's always going to be a place for that. And a lot of people that are getting into this industry, that, some people will just have natural green thumbs, and some people, I wish everyone the best in this industry. There's enough room for everybody. But not everyone's built for it. Not everyone can grow good pot, like pot that you want to smoke every day. And,
I agree. I've seen some of it.
Yeah, me too. you know, so, but, I think that is the future is just going to be quality control. The quality of people's pot and stuff is really going to dictate the market. If you can grow really high quality cannabis, then you're going to have a future in the industry.
Well, and we've seen that with like the microbrews here in Vermont, right? Some of our beers are popular nationwide and in other countries because of that level of quality. Do you see that same thing happening in the cannabis industry here in Vermont?
I don't know. I hate comparing alcohol to
no,
cannabis.
and I do too, because they're not the same, but like we are known for that level of craft beer. Do you think our cannabis industry could sort of match that in terms of the popularity that it has?
I believe so. I believe so. As far as like the quality of the product and all that, absolutely. I think that's definitely like what growers like myself are looking to do with this industry.
And I saw your outdoor last year. It looked fucking nice, dude.
Yeah, I was quite pleased. But like I said, there was no market, so I mean, we still have a leftover supply. So there's always that. Like I said, the outdoor without the manufacturing, it's hard. And I'm trying to go everything legit now, so I'm not. I'm letting go I'm letting go of that black market side, and it's hard to do once you've been in it a long time. It's like, hoping things are gonna, work out over here, and that's that's what I'm shooting for. I'm letting go of all that stuff from the past and moving forward with this, but it's so I got I have to destroy or get rid of this black market material that I have in order to move forward into the legal market. And so, to be above board during my compliance visit, I told the compliance officer that I had cannabis from the year before in these bins. And, I was able to show the CCB the cannabis in these bins. And we talked about destroying it. And then the floods happened. And I talked to the.
Did you get flooded out there, Jason?
No, we didn't get any floods. We have our fields are wet, but we didn't get any floods. We have a pretty good setup. But I spoke to the director of the CCB and Carrie, and we had talked about instead of destroying all the cannabis from last year that I donated, we get it tested and donate it to cancer patients for to be manufactured into edibles. So that was, the hope for this donation, and we had talked about donating it over to Highly Rooted, um, and there's probably about 300 pounds there of of material that they could process, and
I
hopefully,
just got a message from Michelle right here, and I'm really hoping that works out, man, because that's super cool. I love what they're doing over there. They've helped out my girlfriend's dad who has cirrhosis of the liver with edibles because he can't take opiates of any kind because his liver is fucked. So I think that what those guys are doing over there, their mission, I don't like that word, but I like the mission, man. They're helping out cancer patients, and I think they were super psyched when you mentioned that.
yeah. I mean, and I'm really excited to do it.
Who's touching you? Why is someone
My
touching you?
my wife, she's
Is
just watching.
Is that Molly?
You say
Hi.
Hi, Molly.
Molly.
Hey, Molly. Yeah, I know you wanted to get in there. Yeah. Hi, Molly.
Yeah, I mean,
hey, cool, great people. That's with a capital O there and a capital R on great. Yeah, cool. Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was cool. And like I said, when my grandma died and we got to give her edibles, it was a very powerful moment for me and my family, I think, personally. And I had this idea called the Get You High Before You Die guy. And I think that's a great idea. And
a little dark and morbid, but
it's a little dark and morbid, but so is dying, And so, if I could give you a moment of happiness before you die, and you can eat some meatloaf like my grandma did, and get her vegetables down, and get up out of your chair and walk around, I think that's a beautiful thing, And
absolutely.
I think that should, I liked your sentiment, man. And I love Michelle and Troy over there. If they're listening, Michelle and Troy, I think they're wonderful human beings. They've been on the show a couple of times, and
I can't wait to work with them.
They work super hard so that they can give free shit away to people who are sick, and that's I think awesome. And the fact that you sort of, I don't know how you got the state to agree to that. That was amazing.
It was actually something that they came up with. To me, we had talked about destruction of the material and videoing it or something, and I was on board for whatever they wanted from me.
You were down to burn the rest of your biomass.
Yeah, I just want to be compliant with them, and like I said, I'm on board with this. I'm trying to do this on the up and up. So. Whatever they wanted to do with the material that I had left over was fine with me.
So whose idea was it to not do that?
Carrie's the one that contacted me from the CCB.
Carrie's the Gary,
the director, along with my compliance officer Denise, and
hey, Denise. We did stand up once. Okay.
Oh, and Denise has been wonderful to work with. I have a lot of questions. I just, like I said, I want to remain compliant and do whatever I can to stay that way, and just make this work for me and my family and the people that I hopefully have coming on board with me this year to create some jobs and some futures.
And I don't like to give the state a lot of credit, but it seems like a kind gesture of them. I don't know any other examples of people who have been allowed to or encouraged to sort of, hey, give your product to this nonprofit who's helping cancer patients. This is a first that I've heard of, and I think that's in a rare statement. I think the state has made a good call there.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, as soon as they said it, I was 100% on board. And it feels a lot better than having to burn it. It's like I worked hard to grow it. So it's it's good to see it go somewhere. It's just
why put it
so much.
why put it to waste? So,
Yeah, we had so much mass last year; it was just hard to get through, and the market turned, definitely changed again, like it always does, and so it's. But I'm not going to stop growing mass amounts of cannabis because I learn more every year, and I just love doing it. So, you know, uh, I'm happy to be able to do it legally and without the fear of getting caught. Maybe sometimes that was part of the reason I did it too, though, was the fear of getting caught.
Are you a bit of an adrenaline junkie, Jason?
No, but it's sometimes it feels good to knowing that you're not hurting anybody, but you're still kind of doing a little outlaw, a little bit of outlaw stuff, but it's, I'm just a believer. Do whatever you want to do as long as you don't hurt anybody else in what you do. If you're not hurting anybody, then, by all means, it's your business.
We got a comment here. Once upon a time in Broadway. What's good, my big brothers? I don't know who that is. I want to ask you about something you said earlier, Jason. You said, I don't want any partners or investors. And this is something that a lot of people have asked me about, people who have outside investors or the out-of-state MSOs. Is that something that's important to you, or why did you mention that, man?
I see the industry not being what everybody thinks it's gonna be. Not everyone's gonna get rich off this and live this rock star lifestyle. It's a lot of hard work, and the industry is ever changing, and it's gonna keep changing, and it's. Oh shit! I kind of lost where I was going with that.
That's okay.
I
was just wondering. It sounded like you built this whole thing off of your own black market hustle, and you didn't want other people
not wanting partners. Yeah, I mean, having too many hands in the pot is definitely not going to be for everybody later. We're all going to be lucky to make good livings off this, I think, when it's all said and done.
That's good. I caught you in a stoner moment there, Jason.
You did.
This is, who this is? Jason is an OG. It's Vlad, and now I know who that is. Yeah. What up, Vlad? Yeah.
Love you, Vlad.
Yeah.
Hi, Vlad. Love you.
Yeah, this is my new YouTube channel starting soon. Thanks, Vlad. He's always watching my interviews, coming out to all the hip hop shows. Great guy.
Yeah, what a great guy.
Yeah,
I love him. He's such a great supporter.
Yeah, man. We're getting towards the end here, Jason, and I want to ask you about the glass collection because I see you got your cabinet behind you, and I was hoping maybe you would go behind you and pick out like a couple of your favorite pieces in there, and maybe shout out a couple of the glass blowers you got in your collection.
Sure.
Yeah. I know I got one. I'm gonna do a hickory shout out.
Everyone loves hickory.
Yeah. Oh, is that an ashtray? Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, wow.
There's also this hickory one too that I use.
Wow.
It's
hey, hickory. Yeah. Can confirm.
Everyone loves a Bob Snodgrass.
Oh shit! Yeah. Beautiful.
I have actually a shelf of hickory. So how about I just?
Oh yeah, bring it right over there, dude. Put it in the cabinet.
I don't know if you can see it all.
Pull it back a little. Pull it back. Oh. Yeah, the light blurs it a little. Oh boy, you got some Sherlocks in there, huh?
Yeah. Geez, there's quite a few hickory.
Hickory makes the nicest. Hickory makes the dopest Sherlocks I've ever seen. Wow.
As an urn.
Hickory shot glasses.
You got hickory shot glass. Shit.
Yeah, a few of them.
Dope.
Glass is my sickness.
Yeah, what's up?
On down, I got some
to be,
songs.
you seem to be a bit of a collector, Jason.
Yeah, it's, like you said, it's definitely a sickness. So,
Let me ask you this. Have you dealt with any of the other stuff? You just got your license at this last meeting, right? The last CCB meeting?
I got the approval. Yep.
Yeah, so you haven't had to deal with any of the labeling or the product registration or the testing or any of that stuff yet?
Not yet. We have to start producing. So
Okay.
once we start producing, then it's a whole nother learning experience for me. You know, I've never had my stuff tested for, you know, before. I've always tested it myself.
Yeah. You're a human guinea pig.
Yeah, there you go. You know,
Let me ask you this. I want to ask you about the taxes because the taxes for cannabis are about 20%. You said you were a bartender earlier, and the taxes for alcohol about 10%. Do you think cannabis should be taxed higher than alcohol?
no. And hopefully this is something that'll, you know, calm down in the future. You know, they're kind of putting a luxury tax on this, you know, because it's going to be like a gold rush for them. So, and then when the industry kind of levels out, I think we'll see the tax calm down too. I would hope.
I would also hope. Okay, I'm glad I asked you that. I'm getting towards the end here, Jason, and it might be. I might be at the end, but shit. Let me scroll back up here real quick. What did I miss? Anything? I got all my shit. Let me ask you.
I hope
this.
I was interesting enough.
I feel let me ask you.
I've never done this, so
That's good, dude. I've popped a bunch of cherries in the last year, and I'm really happy that you could be one of them. We got Jason Sterling here from Sterling Cannabis. And Jason, I always leave the last word for my guests. I want to thank you for your time tonight. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. I want to wish you good luck out here. If we missed anything or if you have any shameless plugs or shout outs that you want to give, now is the time. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, man. And I hope we can do it again sometime. Go ahead.
Yeah, shout out to my friends over at Pressure Labs. Definitely my friend Jesse and Nate. Jesse definitely saved me on helping me out with a lot of my stuff. So and Sherelle for getting me started on getting my paperwork in just to do this. Those were probably my biggest influencers and doing this whole legalization thing. So, you know, and then my family. So,
are you gonna shout out Molly? I feel like she's right next to you.
Yeah, she wants me to talk about her, of course. But all right. It was great. I was scared I wasn't going to be able to talk for like an hour, and I was just going to be like, you know, sitting here like a deer in the headlights. But this wasn't too bad. Definitely different than than anything I've done. Yeah, I'm way out of my comfort zone doing this. So it's
well, I appreciate it, man.
Cool,
I know I know some people don't like being interviewed, and I'm glad you did it. And I'm glad you're here, man. I was happy to meet you guys, man. You've been super kind and generous, and I always love coming to Burlington to see you guys. And,
man, you're always welcome. You know that.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And you got to meet my girlfriend, which almost no one gets to do. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So.
Cool. Yeah.
We need to do dinner sometime, me, you, and her.
Deal. Cool.
So,
look, if we didn't miss anything and you got no more shameless plugs or shout outs, I'm going to close it out.
All right, brother. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Jason Sterling Cannabis, I'm your host, Caleb Teskey, reminding you that the devil is in the details and the details are in the fine print. Peace.